So while we're training and getting stronger and building beautiful lean muscle tissue, I want you to understand that you can influence where you grow. You can influence the shape that you want to build, but specific results for specific shapes require specific programming and specific technique execution. So there's a benefit in having a coach with a bodybuilding background, because if you think of bodybuilders, if you just picture like a fitness model at the moment, there are very specific ratios they're trying to build. They want to put a little more on here, not grow this, build out there, keep this tapered. There's a lot of specificity in which shapes are we trying to grow, and that comes from what angle are we working these muscle at, how much volume is hitting that muscle or muscle group across the week, which are your key lifts, which are happening earlier in the sessions versus later in the sessions when you're more fatigued. All of that comes into it. And a lot of women are really scared of going to the gym and building muscle and ending up putting in all that effort and then not liking how that they look. And I think most of us would agree, if you're going to go in there and you're going to put in that effort, you're going to do the work, you want to look better for your efforts. And this is where strategic programming comes in. Your part is the execution side. I can't do that for you. If you have poor technique, the wrong muscles are going to get involved. If while you're doing work that should be targeting your back, you've got your traps jacked up, doing the work for you, you're going to build chunky traps. If your technique follows the cues in my videos and the movement patterns in the videos, you're much more likely to hit the right muscle group. But you really want you to be thinking while you're training, we're not just thinking about moving the bar, the dumbbell, the pulley, whatever, from A to B. I don't care where that is. Obviously there's a path it's going to follow. But I don't want you thinking about this goes from here to here or here to here. We want to be thinking about letting a muscle lengthen and squeezing a muscle as short as you possibly can, and knowing which muscles you're trying to target. And there's some exercises, for example, a lunge or a split squat, where your torso angle or your knee angle can influence where it's hitting more quad or more glute, and generally the version of that I've put into your program is to target the one that we want for you, or at least for that period of time in that block. If you're following a very generic program, or you're following your boyfriend's bro split, you're not going to build the same shape as if you've got a program designed to create an athletic hourglass physique. In saying that, I don't want you to get the misconception, and there's a lot of misinformation online about the fact that you can spot reduce. Do this exercise to shrink your waist, or do this exercise to get rid of bingo wings. You can grow muscle. You tone muscle by growing muscle. But if you want to reveal that muscle, if you want the area to be smaller, that comes down to your body fat levels. And then that means it comes down to your nutrition. And so with weight training, we're building the underlying structure, and your body fat levels above that are going to dictate how much of that you get to see. Back on stuff you see online, a lot of these influencers are posting these like booty band workouts they do, or they're doing a body weight workout in a bikini on a beach. They didn't do those exercises that they're showing you to build the body that they have. There are a lot of these accounts that post a different workout 3 or 4 times a week, but their own training is a weight-based program that they follow for 4 to 6 weeks or longer before changing anything, and it progresses over time, or at least that's what they followed to build the physique they have now, and maybe they're just maintaining it while doing these other workouts. But you won't build that body by doing body weight exercise and booty band burners. So to give you an example of a program that's structured in a way that's going to build a strong feminine physique, would be the program with squats and pull-ups as your 2 main strength goals. So those 2 lifts are really empowering. They make you feel really good to get strong on, and they are building an overall strength and mentally preparing you to be able to push hard in all other exercises. And so psychologically and physiologically, they are smart exercises to have as a core focus on a program. They also work well with the goal of building your lower body for the lower part of the hourglass physique, and building your lats with your pull-ups to create that V taper. Going on from that, it's not just the first 2 lifts. Obviously, there's a full program in behind it, and so things that go into consideration with the remaining exercises, how much volume is there per muscle group across the week of the program, and how does that build, and how does that progress from one program into the next. And when I'm looking at those sorts of things, I'm assessing that volume and really thinking about where do I want to get some extra work done, and where maybe gets hit to maintain strength or maintain health of a joint, but without wanting to necessarily grow that muscle, because you can train muscles without adding size. That's quite easy to do as well. You can maintain a muscle group with a certain amount of volume, and you can grow a muscle group with a certain amount of volume. The other thing that I often am considering in my programs is deep core stabilization, deep core muscle activation, and postural muscles. As soon as your posture is better, your physique looks better, and also that helps you avoid injury. So those things are also always included into my programming thinking. And that's aesthetic. That looks good. The caveat is genetics matter. You can't pick somebody else's body off the internet and say, I want to look like that. Their skeleton matters, their ratio of their femur length versus their spine length, and those sorts of things all come into it. And then insertion points, and I'll have other videos on anatomy, but when we talk about insertion points, talking about sort of where the muscle connects into the bone. For some people, it's quite far above the knee, the quad muscle will insert. Some people, it's right down next to the knee that muscle inserts, and that's going to change how that leg or how that quad tapers in or not. And some people have more of a tube shaped leg, and some people have a very narrow space above the knee, and that's something that you can't necessarily change by changing your muscle volume. If the insertion point is high or low, that's not something you can really influence, and that's something that can be really frustrating for some people, but we do need to work within genetic parameters. So closing this up, if I've written your program, it's going to serve the goals that you've told me you have. What you need to do is watch the training videos, read the cues, apply them. If you've been doing exercise for a while, maybe just read them over again and see if you can apply some of them better. Film yourself, if possible. That's the best way. The best way to learn and progress quickly, and especially if you're able to film those exercises and send them for me to give you direct feedback. But if you can't film, please do ask questions. I'm not sure what I'm feeling here. I always feel this when I do this exercise. My back turns on, my traps turn on, and I can probably give you some additional cues a little bit more specific to you to be able to make sure that you're hitting the right muscle groups and that you build the shape that you want, a shape that you love, while getting really strong.